are ya? Welcome to Happy Rails to ya. My name is Hobo Pep, and I've been riding the rails looking for an adventure to share with you. Boy, have I got a story for you today. Let me find a place to rest these weary bones. We'll see what treasure I've got for you in my bindle. You know, my hobo sack. Come along. Welcome back to my hobo jungle. I hope you've had a good week, as I know I certainly have. Well, now that we've reached the end of the month of February, today we conclude our special train-themed Black History Month series. A few weeks ago, we learned about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, which helped slaves escape to free states in the northern United States and in Canada. Well, today's adventure is called just the opposite. It's called Overground Railroad. Unlike the Underground Railroad, which was not an actual railroad, but rather a network of folks helping slaves escape to freedom, and it just used railroad terminology, the Overground Railroad truly was an actual railway system which carried African Americans out of the southern United States during the Great Migration. Now, during this Great Migration, which was also known as the Great Northward Migration or the Black Migration, nearly 6 million African Americans moved from the South to the urban Northeastern, Midwestern, and the Western United States between 1916 and 1970. Although slavery had been abolished for over half a century, these folks were escaping poor economic conditions and racial segregation and discrimination, which was still present in the South. The owners of sharecropping farms, they used threats of violence to prevent workers from leaving, and the sharecropping systems kept many of its African American tenants constantly in debt to the landlords and made it illegal to leave without permission or before repaying the debts of planting and of other supplies. As a result, many African Americans departed on trains during the night, or they secretly boarded trains miles from home in neighboring towns in hopes of better jobs, education, and life free from oppression. Now, today's adventure is just one of many stories of a family who left the South during the Great Migration. And as we read through this adventure, be on the lookout for the mention of Frederick Douglass, a former slave turned social reformer who fought for equality for all people. Come along, let's read. Overground Railroad, written by Lessa Klein Ransom and illustrated by James Ransom. Some walked, some drove, but we took the train north. Me and Mama and Daddy got to the station crack of dawn early before anyone could see us leave. Daddy holding tight to me with one hand, 3 tickets to New York in the other. The porter helped us on board, then handed us our bags and our shoebox filled with food and tied with string onto the first train out of North Carolina, just as the conductor yelled, "All aboard the New York-bound Silver Meteor." Daddy led me to the last seats in the colored car and let me sit next to the window to watch as the train whistled and chugged, leaving puffs of smoke behind. The conductor shouts, "Next stop, Rocky Mount." We left in secret before Daddy's boss knew, before our lease was up. We said our goodbyes to Uncle Buck and Granddaddy and Grandma her wet cheek pressed against mine. "Ruth Ellen, you mind your mama and daddy," she said. "No more picking," Daddy said, mad. "No more working someone else's land," Mama said, proud. "We're gonna make our own way up north," they both said. Out the window, I watched Blue Ridge Mountains and fields with folks already hunched and picking row after row of cotton, tobacco, and peanuts every day except the Lord's Day, just like my granddaddy, but not any more for my daddy. At the next stop, more people and boxes and satchels squeezed into the colored car, so many they stood on tired feet or sat on hard floors where they were. Daddy pulled out cards to pass the time. I won at rummy, Daddy at war. In my bag is the book teacher pressed in my hands on my last day of school before we left. Next stop, Norfolk, Virginia. In our straight back seats, when we finish with cards, Mama fusses in her purse. Daddy stares ahead. I take out the book teacher gave me. The cover's worn, pages 2. "Read to me, Ruthie," Mama says, and I do. First, the title, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. Then I turn to the first page. I was born in Tuckahoe near Hillsborough and about 12 miles from Easton in Talbot County, Maryland. Mama listens till her eyes blink long, longer, then close, but I keep on. Next stop, Alexandria, Virginia. Out the window, in between pages, I watch as crooked shacks sprout on the edges of fields. Folks wave from the doorways, and I wave back. Mama turns in asleep, restless and dreaming. All around me, everybody leaving for the north talks in Bible words. Exodus, Egypt, Canaan, hoping that Chicago, Detroit, and New York City are the promised land. Next stop, Washington, D.C. The porters come and move signs, waking Daddy, telling everyone in the colored section to sit where they want. We don't have to stay in front, behind the engine, breathing in smoke, 'cause we're past the line that divides black from white, south from north, wrong from right. I wait to move, but we wait more. Finally, Daddy takes my hand, Mama stands, and we walk down the aisle, out the colored car, and through the curtain. Next stop, Baltimore, Maryland. On the other side of the curtain is the dining car with tablecloths and clinking glasses and white faces and good food smells that make my stomach growl and make me wish we hadn't eaten Grandma's fried chicken and hard-boiled eggs and lemon pound cake so soon. Next stop, Newark, Delaware. We walk past row after row of white folks who stare or turn away with eyes that say, "Keep moving." When they see us, some put hands in empty seats, "Not here," and we keep walking until we find smiles from new neighbors. Out the window, people turn and point, and I see water, a whole river running along beside us. "It's the Delaware River," a mother says to her boy. "The book teacher gave me has pages filled with the story of a boy leaving behind what he knew and heading to what he don't, just like me, only he didn't have a ticket bought by his daddy and food packed by his grandma. So he was cold and hungry, but he kept on running at night with only the North Star to guide him along the Chesapeake and the Delaware River in secret, getting help along the way till he made his way walking to freedom north. Next stop, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I watched the tracks in front of me and behind me just as far as the eye can see. Mama and Daddy say jobs, education, freedom are waiting in New York for us. And like the boy in the book, we all running from and running to at the same time. Last stop, New York City, Penn Station. We step off the train, and I stretch my neck to see bright lights, tall buildings shimmering against a sky bright as 100 North Stars. Daddy grabs our bags. I squeeze Mama's hand. The other holds tight to my book. The end. That's Overground Railroad. Well, I hope you enjoyed this adventure of Ruth Ellen and her parents as they left the South via train to head up north for freedom. And I hope you enjoyed our entire train-themed Black History Month series where we learned about folk hero John Henry, who is believed to have built railroads and dug railroad tunnels, Harriet Tubman, who freed slaves via the elaborate Underground Railroad network, the great emancipator, President Abraham Lincoln, who traveled to his final resting place via a funeral train following his assassination, and finally, the Overground Railroad, which helped African Americans escape the segregated South to the integrated freedom in the North during the Great Migration. These adventures prove that the railroad has played an important part throughout all history, and I hope you keep joining me each week as we learn more and more from a brand new train adventure every Saturday. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, so long. Thank you for joining me for today's adventure. I hope you enjoyed. Always remember, continue riding the rails of your imagination as it will take you on an endless number of adventures around the world. Until next time, this is Hobo Pap saying so long as I go hop on a rattler in search of our next adventure. Happy rails to you.